Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Word of the Day for Thursday, March 27th. Now, I'm your host, Rene Holaday, and as we have been describing, today is going to be part 3 of our short mini-series on the story of David and Goliath. And today, I have got so much information with maps and battles and a whole back history as to where this giant Goliath even came from. What is his history? How was he even there? Well, so first of all, we're going to start off. We started way back in Genesis yesterday, and so today we're going to go forward to the next places where we see uh, descriptions of giants. And of course, that all leads into areas where Moses is involved. And so the word of the day for today comes to us from Numbers chapter 13, verses 21 through 33. And it reads, "So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath. And they went up through the south and came to Hebron. Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were there. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. Then they came to the valley of Eshcol, and there cut down a branch with one cluster of grapes. They carried it between two of them on a pole. They also brought some of the pomegranates and figs. The place was called the Valley of Eshcol because the cluster which the men of Israel cut down there, and they returned from spying out the land after 40 days. Now they departed and came back to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. Then they told him and said, "We went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan." Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the giants. The descendants of Anak came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." And that's it. Well, and so here we have an interesting description of the Anakim. And the Anakim are definitely giants. And in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verses 19 through 21, it says, "Ammon, that was also regarded as a land of giants. Giants formerly dwelt there, but the Ammonites called them Zamzamim, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. But the Lord destroyed them just like he did the descendants of Esau." Well, and so also interesting that it describes that in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verses 10, 11, that the Emim had dwelt there in times past, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. They were also regarded as giants like the Anakim, but the Moabites called them Emim. So we've got Emim and Zamzamim, both are described as being almost, if not the same as the Anakim giants, but they called them different names. And in fact, we've got reports also from the this time where Moses is telling the children of Israel to go in and take it, and basically there's two giants that they're facing, two kings that are giants, both of which are brothers. And you don't find that particular bit of information in the Bible, but in different rabbinical texts, they are described as brothers and both of them giants. And so it says here that in Joshua chapter 11, verses 21 and 22, when Joshua went up to destroy the giants and take the land, in chapter 11, Joshua 11, verses 21 and 22, it says, "And at that time Joshua came and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel." And here in this map, you can see the topography of this whole area of Canaan and the land of King Sihon, and how it has all of the mountains and the valleys. And so here this is where it's describing that Joshua came and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua utterly destroyed them with their cities. And none of the Anakim were left in the land of the children of Israel. They remained only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod. And so you have to ask, does anybody know where Gath actually is? Well, we certainly do. Here's a map that shows where Gath is. As you know, Goliath from Gath is what is described, and Gath is actually directly north of Lachish, which is situated directly in the valley of Elah, where David goes to face off with him. And so all of the in the story of King David, where all of the Philistines, they come up and they all stop in Soko, and they're waiting on one side of the mountains with all of the children of Israel on across the valley of Elah, positioned on the other mountain facing them. And so when you hear about Goliath of Gath, he's not far from home. In fact, the valley of Elah where they are meeting is basically what he would consider to be his home turf. And so I found that to be kind of interesting as well. But there's much to be read here between Deuteronomy 7, where it describes that uh, the Lord wants the giants to be utterly destroyed in a law called the law of Harem. And Harem means basically that, to utterly destroy them, where it means you wipe out men, women, children, and usually even all of their livestock. And so, very interesting. But Deuteronomy chapter 9, verses 1 through 2, also describes the descendants of the Anakim. But the Anakim, so all of these giants are descendants of the Nephilim. And there's even rabbinical texts that I don't want to use it because it's from the Talmud, that actually goes into much detail about Og and where he came from, even asserting that Og had been at the point where Moses told the children of Israel to go in and wipe them out, that Og was 500 years old, and that he had come in as a servant to Abraham. And those texts even say that he was the one that circumcised Abraham, and therefore God turned him, he basically allowed him to turn into a king. That's why he is called King Og of Bashan. Well, I'm not going to take that information too seriously, but we all have to wonder, what happened to all the details of these stories, and they are held in rabbinical texts, and not things that I like to refer to, but as you know, just to throw it out there, don't hold too much weight on anything that comes out of the Talmud. We'll put it that way. But I ran across that note and just wanted to throw that out there. But it says here that also in this battle where the children of Israel go in and wipe them out. First, they take King Sihon and his whole southern kingdom that is basically uh, southeast, and it's of the Jordan River. And then they go on and wipe out King Og, and King Og is in the northeast section, uh, directly above the territory of King Sihon, all the way up to Mount Hermon. And the children of Israel wiped out King Og and all 60 of his cities, all the way up to Mount Hermon in the Battle of Gob. And the Battle of Gob is actually the Battle of Argob. Argob was one of the main cities that King Og occupied. And what's also fascinating here is that in the land of Bashan, there is something that most people don't know about. You've all heard of Stonehenge, and you're familiar with what Stonehenge in England looks like, right? With the big monolith structures in a circle and individual stones. Well, lo and behold, in the land of Bashan, there is something that is called, is referred to as the Israeli Stonehenge, because it looks exactly like Stonehenge in England, only it was in ancient times, it was called the Wheel of the Giants. And so here are pictures of what remains of the Wheel of the Giants in the land of Bashan, in the area to the southeast of Mount Hermon. And Mount Hermon, of course, is where Jesus refers to as the gates of hell, where it is speculated that the fallen angels came down to earth, landed on Mount Hermon, the top of Mount Hermon. And so very interesting how all of the demonic association with Mount Hermon was also in the land of Bashan, occupied by the giant, the Nephilim giant King Og. And so, well, fascinating stuff here. And there's still more. There's more, but we'll get to that tomorrow, Friday. And so I hope you found some of this to be as fascinating as I did. And boy, just stay tuned. We're going to wrap this thing up by Saturday, because there's that much between all of the battles and the maps and the cool history, where we get to kind of figure all of this out. My gosh, last thing, for instance, King Og, his bed was made of iron and was 6 feet wide, 12 feet long. Goliath was 9 foot 9 inches. And so, they're not kidding. They're not just big football players. They're not big basketball players. They're not 7 feet tall. Those would be tiny compared to the giants that are being referred to uh, in these accounts. And so fascinating to find out. But okay, so well, I hope to have you join me tomorrow morning, and you will have a wonderful and a blessed day.